And guys, we're going to Gambletown for the final time this season. Um,
Do you know that that song was actually written about gambling?
Really?
really,
Oh, yeah. It was
that
about
just makes me like it more.
yeah, it was about the time Gambletown had its last episode of the season.
Oh, I thought it was about, like, an opium den.
Oh, Ryan, opium dens don't have a closing time. Let's be honest.
That's true. Yeah, right.
All right,
Alright, hey,
guys,
we did it. Tell us
we
about
we
it,
did
Wally.
it, and I want to go over our numbers for the regular season because I think some of this stuff is really really excellent.
Yeah.
On the season as a show, top five bets of the week were 142 wins, 128 losses, 53% hit rates. The real guy there, though, the guy who propped us all up was Ryan Edgecombe with 54 wins and 36 losses. Like that is,
Guys,
he was hitting it
that's
like a
a
75% clip.
it's it's a s I just did the math, it's 67%.
Oh, 67%. Okay, I overshot it.
And
Um,
like, I did the best I could to inspire you guys to go above 500, keep our numbers up. I did
hey,
you
I
know, I'm a
that
hero.
that last month of the season saved me because I was under 500 for a lot of this year. I was always kind of hovering like a few games below, and I could never crack it. I barely got over. So, Ryan, thank you
Um,
for carrying all of us
yes,
data nerds. And Ryan's like, no, gut.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. No matter how much math you do, your gut knows more. That's what
and
I know.
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing, it looks like we each no, it looks like you had a perfect week and I had a perfect week. Tony did not.
I had two perfect weeks.
You
Every
had 2
week with my
perfect
bros
weeks?
is a perfect week.
Yeah, that's exactly. Tony has it right.
So,
Um,
I had
Mm.
perfect weeks 18 times this year, so
yeah.
follow
I
my
also want to point out, after last week, I have reclaimed the Parlay King crown.
Uh-oh.
But as a show, I want to point out 32 and 76, 30% hit rate on parlays, which, if you think about it, those are bets that were consistently plus 300 or better. Uh, you crushed if you tailed our parlays. That's where we were really like cooking this year. But
yeah,
my favorite stat, Ryan only had 5 losing weeks on top five bets this entire year.
incredible.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Ryan, like, yeah, you can do all the math you want, but knowing ball is going to do so much better for you.
That is true. It is imperative that you know ball.
Yeah, and we
That's
do,
true.
but apparently
Um,
we need to know our math better. The
right.
rest of us.
So we got 6 games in this slate. Let's talk a little bit about them. There's still plenty of time for our people to make money and for us to make money because it's really
Yeah,
we're selfish ultimately.
there's a
Um,
couple.
Sure.
There's a couple real good bets here this week that I like.
okay. So let's start with our first game. We've got the Chargers going to Houston. Chargers road favorites, plus or sorry, minus 146 money line for a Chargers road win. Houston to advance is plus 141 on the money line. Spreads 2.5, totals 41.5. Ryan, start us off.
Guys, I'm pretty sure it's looking like I don't know why the spread is so low. I mean, Houston looks like crap without Tank Dell. Nico will probably get his stuff, but the Texans struggle horribly in the second half this year. Derek Stingley for Houston will be covering McConkey for most of the snaps, I would believe, in this game. So I'm a little hesitant to bet McConkey. I may do receptions instead of his yards. Um, but another thing that's going to kill Houston in this game, they finished fifth this year for most penalties at 119. And San Diego finished fifth least in penalties this year with 96. Um, so penalties are going to kill Houston, I think, in this game. Ultimately, I think Chargers win by a touchdown. I think the spread being at 2.5, it's Tony's got that in his bets. I think that's a good bet.
Spoiler alert.
Charge, yeah, Chargers should be able to take care of this game, and I'm struggling too to figure out what the points total in this game too. It's the lowest of the slate of the 6 games at 41.5. I'm inclined to bet the over on that. Um, both teams are capable of putting up points. It's just Houston's going to struggle to put up as many as the Chargers. Um, so yeah, I like the over. Um, but no player props from this game made any of my top 5 bets this week.
Okay.
Who do you got?
Waleed?
All right, so I have a fun stat that I just learned under radio yesterday.
Okay.
Houston Texans, in their 9 playoff appearances, historically, have always been the Saturday afternoon game every
Yeah.
time because nobody cares about the Houston Texans. I think Joe Mixon also he started out real strong, but he's their run game has also not been as good. Losing all their offensive weapons has hurt the Texans on offense, along with penalties. I
Well,
mean, I'm on the Chargers this week, but I don't really want to bet this game. I think this is going to be potentially a boring game, but I can see a universe where CJ Stroud just goes God mode because he is awesome and Nico is awesome. So
okay. I have some action in this game, as Ryan alluded to. One of my top 5 bets of the week this week is the Chargers to cover 2.5. It briefly went up to 3. It's back down to 2.5. I say take it where you can get it.
yeah,
I, you guys, the the Texans are not a good football team, and it's not because their personnel is bad. It's because, like Waleed said, their personnel's hurt.
yeah,
Um, Ryan had said, without Tank Dell, like they're slowing down. I mean, think about how this offense looked when they still had Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell.
yeah. It was a
Yeah, right.
lot better, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that's part of what's killing Joe Mixon in the second half of the season is you can show him the respect he deserves because you're not afraid of the passing game.
And
Yeah.
they've also lost a bunch of offensive linemen.
Yeah,
And
That too. Yeah.
and I think
and Laramie Tunsil's having the worst year of his career.
he is. And so I think the Chargers minus 2.5 is a smart play. I don't like it at 3. I think there's a chance this is a field goal game.
Yeah. And guys, you know me. You don't want to bet spreads when they're even numbers because that means Vegas knows something about the hook.
Right.
I will never bet an even number spread.
Yeah, and if you're hearing this and prices have changed or whatever by the time you get a chance, I would take lower odds to tease it down to 2.5. But
Yeah,
I think the Chargers cover 2.5, no problem. I will
Sure.
say this: Nico Collins got a 6 in my system this week. The system, which, as I had said to Josh, super producer Josh, off air, ended the regular season at 38 wins and 22 losses, and has we have 5 plays this week in the system. Nico Collins is one of them. So I took his over at 86.5. Not a top 5 bet, but still an action that I'm putting the same amount of units on. And I also want to point out we forget we have short memories here in the fantasy world, which is a adaptable skill. However, playoff Nico doesn't fuck around, so I also threw $10 on a Nico
True.
Collins anytime touchdown.
yeah.
Okay.
I will. I forgot that Nico was in your system, so I'm gonna be laying a bet because Tony showed you that record, but I want to point out that's a 67% hit rate on receiving overs. If you have a system that'll help you win 2 out of every 3 times, and you're not betting it, that just means you hate money.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you
I
get
also
it, variance means good weeks, bad weeks, whatever it is, what it is. But the
Yeah,
system
yeah.
held out. Yeah,
I like that, Tony. That's Nico's at plus 145 for a touchdown, so that's a
correct.
good $10 bet.
And
I even went in.
If you check BetStamp, Nico's plus 145 is best on FanDuel.
Okay. I even went
Uh,
in earlier and I put a touchdown bet on Nico and Herbert. I put
Ooh,
those together.
a Herbie rushing touchdown. I love it. We'll
Yeah.
see. Like
Yep.
ooh,
it.
someone's feeling
Yep.
spicy.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah, and
yeah.
not just this cat. Fucking asshole. Bum that is just sitting on my lap. All right, so let's move on to our next one. Unless you guys got anything else for this guy.
No, this
No, I
is like the
think you're
most
good.
boring game of the week.
Okay. So Saturday night football. The Ravens going back to a Saturday night game. They're hosting Pittsburgh. Ravens heavy favorites minus 469 money line. A Pittsburgh upset. plus 452. Spreads 9.5. Total is 44 to 44.5. Ryan, start us off.
Guys, be wary of Najee Harris this game. Of the avenues of the Baltimore defense, they're bad at defending the pass, but they're pretty good at the run, at defending the run. And Najee Harris has only reached 75 yards once in the last 6 games. So I I'm gonna stay away from betting anything on him. Um, we and also Roquan Smith, that line is only giving up. They're leading the league this year and allowing only 80.1 rush yards per game. Um, so yeah, you might want to stay away from betting any of the runners from the Steelers. Um, I like the run game for Baltimore. The Ravens average 5.5 or 5.8 yards per carry this year. Um, but sneakily, Pittsburgh against the run only allows 4.1 yards per carry this year, which is in the league highs. Um, so this could be an interesting game. One of my top 5 bets this week is Freiermuth's over 39.5. He went off last game and has gotten involved in this offense consistently over the second half of the season. I think 39.5 is a low line for him, especially if Baltimore goes into this game just trying to isolate and shut down Pickens, because we see when Pickens is not having a good day, Freiermuth gets most of the receptions because they really have no one else to pass to. And instead of looking deep, he's just looking to check down 5 or 10 yards.
Right.
So I like Freiermuth for 4 or more catches and his uh, 39.5 yards. I did do a same game parlay from this game. I went with one of my top 5 bets. I went Freiermuth over 39.5. I went Andrews alt 40 plus,
Ooh.
Likely's alt 25 plus, and an Andrews touchdown.
Oh,
Um,
we're going to tight end parlay. I
oh yeah,
love
we're
it.
doing tight end parlay for this game.
If you
We
aren't
don't
listening to TH Fantasy Podcast, remember Ryan is the tight end whisperer. Like
right.
that is
We
his official title.
we don't have Flowers playing today, so I believe the Pittsburgh defense is just going to cue in on Bateman, which means that both these tight ends for Baltimore should feast today. And I thought about alting these lines more, but I just took their lower alternate lines just to be safe because knew I was going to put that Mark Andrews touchdown in there.
Sure.
Um,
Mark
so at
Andrews has been killing it second half of the season.
Yeah, he's
Like
getting a touchdown like every game. So I put $5 down on that at plus 794 odds to win 44 and some change. That's
Okay.
what I got for this game.
Okay. Waleed?
so, I find it funny because you went like you were looking at the tight ends for with Nose Flowers, but the guy that I already was interested in this week was Rashad Bateman because the Pittsburgh Steelers are susceptible to boundary receivers, and Nose Flowers I think makes Bateman the primary option, and his receiving line is only 46.5. This is one of my top 5 bets of the week. On top of that, I decided to use my $10 no sweat token, which you should have a no sweat bet token on FanDuel. This is where I used it.
Correct.
Remember, this is the Parlay King talking to you. So I went a little bit. I had a little bit of fun with this because I want some extra money for the Sunday and Monday games. I went. I think Rashad Bateman is going to go off this week, and I went an adjusted line of 60 yards, 3.5 receptions. That's the one that has me a little nervous on it. But I wanted to add juice to this. I got a Bateman touchdown, and then I have Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Pittsburgh Steelers have been giving up a lot of points over the last month of the season, and Lamar Jackson is the front runner right now for MVP. I think it's going to be interesting how this goes. So I'm here. I'm here for Rashad Bateman this week.
Okay.
Going into
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Going in to reinforce Waleed's statement that Pittsburgh's done really bad. Going into Week 18, they allowed 90 points in the previous 3 games.
Yeah.
So, and then they lost again. So,
But yeah, and they also but at that point the game didn't matter to them. So I'm not
Right,
really willing
right.
to hold that against them as much.
True.
So, in terms of action that I have in this game, Rashad Bateman got a 6 this week in the system. System loves Rashad Bateman. Um, Bateman is an elite separator, you guys. He just is. He has the fifth highest separation score against man coverage. He has the fifth highest separation score against cover two, and the fourth highest separation score against cover four. Like, Rashad Bateman gets fucking open. So I have action on multiple Baltimore pass catchers, but Bateman over 46.5 receiving yards is my one of my top five bets. That's a play that I love. We're doing a lot of like single weekend DFS slates, and even the like DraftKings like season long whatevers, like the best balls, the playoffs. I'm getting a ton of Bateman because I think he's arrived, and it's the Rashad Bateman that we were promised years ago,
Yeah.
and the Rashad Bateman we were promised 2 years ago, and the Rashad Bateman we were promised last year. Like, he made it. So shout out to Todd Monken for being like, this guy's good. Let's throw him the fucking rock. But I also have a little bit of cash on. I have the same amount of units on Isaiah Likely to go over 26.5 receiving yards. Um, because yeah, without Flowers, that ball is going to be spread around a little bit more. I like Justice Hill. Yeah, I like Justice Hill as a DFS dollar saver, so you could pay up and get you some of those stars that are playing this weekend. But other than that, I think it's a Baltimore win. I think it's an ass whooping. So I think it's time for us to move on to our Sunday slate.
All
So we're
right.
going to start with Denver going to Buffalo. Denver are major underdogs on the road. Bills home wins +4 or -426 on the money line. Denver upset -40 or +405. Spread is between 8 and 8.5, depending on where you look. Total is between 48 even and 48.5. Wally, start us off.
So I'm not really looking for anything specifically in this game, but I think Buffalo -8.5. I think Buffalo is a significantly better team than the Broncos, and I think they're going to wreck them. I will admit though, yeah, take that bet with the caveat that I do not like the Broncos. So that bias might be playing in. But I don't believe in them. I don't think that the Denver Broncos are a bad team, but I don't think they're as good as a lot of the elite teams in the playoffs. And Buffalo, I think, is the elite team. In fact, I do have one bet that's in my top five. Since this is the last show we're doing, I did one of my bets is a season long bet, which or a playoff long bet, I should say, where
Sure.
I'm taking two teams that will make the Super Bowl, and it's Bills and Lions at +750 on DK, because I think that's a good price, and I think those are two very likely outcomes, and I'm getting +750 on that, so I feel like that's a nice investment for me.
Okay. Okay. So no player props in this game. Just a
I'm just taking Buffalo -8.5. I already took that bet.
all right. And Ryan, what do you got?
Okay, so in this game, I think Denver is most likely going to be playing from behind most of the game. There may be a situation where they get out to maybe an early lead, like score on the first drive or something. But even if they do that, I think they're going to have to pass as well. They can't run. Um, they've got like a three-headed monster of just blah. And those guys' lines are like at 25 yards apiece or 30 yards apiece. It's pretty pathetic. Um, so to establish his dominance in this game, one of my top five bets of the week is a Josh Allen touchdown. He will establish his dominance and score at least one touchdown, a one rushing touchdown. Um, I like that. I forgot. Let's see. That was at one -130 for Josh Allen. Another bet I like in this game is Marvin Mims, over 41.5. Um, that is a very low line for someone that's had, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 6 out of his last 7 games, he's had like 50 yards or more.
44
Um,
plus in 6 of his last 7.
yeah. And the line's at 41. That seems easily exploitable. To a team where they're probably going to be covering Sutton. And honestly, even if Mims gets 2 catches, I think he can get those yards in those 2 catches because he's the deep threat. And Mims has just become an interesting part of that offense through the second half of the season. So yeah, from that game, Marvin Mims over 41.5 and a Josh Allen touchdown.
Okay. Wally, what do you got?
I already said that I had.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, I had nothing in this game, but you guys have sold me. So I officially have a same game parlay this week. I'm going to go with a Josh Allen anytime touchdown. I'm going to go with the Bills money line, and I'm going to go with Marvin Mims, which is now moved up to 41.5. And that got
Oh
me
yeah,
plus 280. So there's
I'm
your
gonna do
same
that
game
too.
parlay.
Make
I
sure you
love
write
it.
that in the spreadsheet when you get a
I'm already
chance.
I'm already copying it in right now
Yeah. A Josh
because I
Allen
want to
anytime
remember to make the
touchdown.
bets.
Bills money line. If you like the Bills spread, that's even better for you. You're going to get even crazier odds. But I also want Mims over 41.5. So you guys have talked me into it. You guys know ball. So I'm going to trust the gut.
You went with the 8.5 or the Bills money line?
I just
You went
went
to
Bills
Bill's
money line.
money. Yeah,
Okay.
So nice job, guys. You guys really convinced me.
Hell yeah.
I
That's why
like
we're
it.
here
Mims
to help
Mims
each
has
other
been
out.
out of control, man. Like I really like that bet,
Yeah.
Ryan. I'm glad you made it because I don't think I would have thought to make it, but now that you've put it in there, I'm like, oh yeah,
Well,
that's gonna happen.
I started looking at it, the stuff last night after we recorded because I didn't have a chance to do anything early on Friday. And one of Shane's bets this week is a Marvin Mims touchdown. So, um, just started looking at his stuff and I'm like, his line's really low. I'm making that one of my top 5 bets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and like we said, Marvin Mims, he's electric, right? So it could happen at any
Yep.
moment. All right, so let's move on. We got Green Bay going to Philly. Philly home favorites. You can get them at minus 230 on the money line at DraftKings. Green Bay's plus 217 is your best bet for a road upset. Spread is 5 even or 4.5, depending on where you look. Total is 45.5. Waleed, start us off.
I have nothing in this game.
All right.
Yeah, I couldn't. I really couldn't think of anything that I liked in this game, so I just was like, I don't have to bet every game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't like a lot of the player props in this game either. If I'm gonna do anything with this game, like parlays or anything for Sunday or us like a Sunday night, Monday night parlay thing, that'll probably just be like involving the Philly money line or something. Guys, if Green Bay has no Christian Watson, so it's going to be up to Dontavian Wicks to spread the field. Um, the Eagles secondary this year allowed only 174.2 passing yards per game. That's number one on the season. So Green Bay's offense is going to struggle, especially if they can't establish any run game with Josh Jacobs. Um, uh, the Eagles and I, I I'm hesitant to bet anything with Saquon other than maybe a touchdown. Um, I know the Eagles. I said this last night on the podcast. The Eagles' offensive yards gained on the ground this year was 48.8% of their playbook. That was like 4 or 5% higher than any of the second closest team. Um, and but the Packers allowed the third fewest yards per carry at 4.0. Um, so this game's going to be tough for me, and I'm probably going to maybe do an under bet on this, but no, I'm talking myself into other shit. I'm gonna just casually watch this and hope that the Eagles win. Um,
Okay. While so I have nothing in this game, but I did want to point out, since you're talking about the excellent secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles, that CJ Gardner Johnson of the Eagles shared an Instagram post. It was just a picture of Cooper DeJean, and the tweet was "My Jackie," referring to Jackie Robinson because Cooper DeJean is one of the first white cornerbacks to play in a decade.
That's fantastic.
really,
I love it. I
So
swear to God, he only dropped in this draft class because he was white, and it made no sense.
Mark Wahlberg.
Cooper DeJean, Iowa product.
It's true.
Uh,
All right, so I think I'm taking Philly in this game. I think they
Agreed.
cover, but uh, who knows? Philadelphia uneven, but Wally, like you said, you have like a Super Bowl winning futures bet
Yeah.
involved in this game. But I will say, yeah, on June 15th, I put $5 down at plus 3,400 for KC and Philly in the Super Bowl. And if
Yeah.
that hits, I'll get $175 on my $5
That's
bet. So
that was a good bet there too, because everyone was really down on the Eagles, and I
mm,
still think Nick Sirianni is an idiot, but I also think the Eagles might have the most talented roster in football. It's definitely top three, and talent wins, man. Like, so I like that bet a lot.
I think both cases.
I think KC's been playing possum all year. I
I
don't
think
think
so
we've
too.
seen them like they haven't expanded their playbook because they haven't had to expand their playbook. They just care. I think they just cared about getting into the playoffs and that's it.
Yeah, I just, every year, uh, FanDuel will do they do like a year wrapped now, like a rewind of like these are the teams that you win the most money betting on, whatever.
Yeah.
And the last 2 years for me, it's been Kansas City
Yeah.
because every year Kansas City's losing in the fourth quarter of the playoff game, and every year I wait until that number hits plus odds, and every year I clean up.
I started doing that like way too late, but it's such a good system.
It's just so my mom used to be a bartender in the 70s,
Yeah.
and she would always say she made more money at her job betting on the Cowboys to win when they were down than she did on her paychecks.
That's funny.
Oh
And
wow.
Hey,
yeah, so like I've you know what? I'm a mama's boy at heart. So I'm
That's
following the advice of my mother.
that's Tom Landry.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's the
true.
haircut. It's a haircut you can set your watch to.
Yep.
All right, so let's go to our Sunday night game. The first game I think is a true toss up in terms of who wins.
This is also one of my favorite games of the week.
Oh
I
yeah.
agree.
That's
We got
that's the
Washington
highest point total.
We got
It should be.
Washington going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay are currently home favorites, minus 157 on the money line. A Washington road win is plus 146. Spreads 3.5, totals 50.5. Waleed, let's set this bitch off.
Okay. The bet of the week. This is probably my favorite bet of the week. Give me Bucking rushing over. And Ryan told me off air that his line has actually gone up a little bit, which or gone down, which makes
Gone
me a
down.
little sad because I got him at 87 and a half. Oh, he's still 87 and a half on FanDuel.
You wrote
So,
90.5 on the spreadsheet.
yeah, but that's because to get my no sweat token for DK, I
Oh.
had to take some extra yards.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So that's sometimes I'm gonna have to take the extra yard to get the best odds on my parlay. That's just what you
Okay.
got to do sometimes. But Bucky Irving against the Washington Commanders. Bucky Irving over the last month of the season has been a revelation. He has been
Yes.
so damn good. On the flip side, the Washington Commanders have consistently given up 5 yards a carry or more to running backs, and that like I have a metric that I tail every week. And sometimes those run defenses got better or worse. Bears run defense started off better and then it got real bad. Washington has been consistently bad against the run,
All
and
year.
they're going to give it to Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving at 87 and a half to me is free money, and I'm here for it.
Okay.
On top of that, though, that's why I have, and since Ryan kind of spoiled it, my other same game parlay that I have going, I use a $5 no sweat token on Bucky at 90 and a half rushing yards. I think he's going to have 100 yards. But I will say that while they'll give up a lot of yards, they don't necessarily give up like 200-yard games. They're consistently like giving up a lot of yards, but they're not giving crazy amounts, which is why I didn't juice this to like 100. But Bucky at 90 and a half yards and 2 touchdowns. I just think that this is going to be one of those games where I think it's a Bucky game,
Sure.
and I'm here for it.
Sure.
Sure. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope this game's gonna be an awesome shootout. I mean, you can pass on Tampa Bay's defense, and you can pass on Washington's defense.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't care this week that Lattimore is going to be on Evans. That's going to be a big focal point of the broadcasters pointing that out a lot during that game. There may even be a scrum or two. But I'm going with Evans over 5.5 receptions this week. Look, Baker and the Bucks are not going to let go of the gas pedal. They're just going to go, 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 no matter how much they're up in this game. So I don't see a lot of avenues where Evans doesn't get 5.5 receptions.
I
Um,
see one, and that's what happens when he's ejected in the second quarter because him
yeah,
and
I was
Marshawn
thinking,
Lattimore are
I
fighting.
had,
I mean,
yeah,
I feel
I
like you
thought
want to
about
go
that.
yards, not receptions on that, just to be safe.
I thought about that, but I was like, no, I'm hoping that he keeps it in check.
Yeah.
Um, Also, another one, McMillan's over 53.5 receiving yards. Guys, his last 5 games, he's averaging like between 60 and 65 receiving yards.
Ooh.
And he has like what, 7 touchdowns in the last 5 games too, or something like that. So I'm gonna do something with a touchdown for him too. But the parlay that I did this week, just to be a little on the safer side, I only got 303 odds, but that's just to be this is my conservative parlay. I'll do a bunch of crazy shit for this game later. But I don't want all of our listeners to lose as much money as I lose when those don't hit.
Ryan's indigestion has been out of control, so he's just trying to calm down his gut.
Soothe the
Right.
gut.
So at plus 303 odds, I took Evans 5.5 receptions. I took McMillan's alternate 4+ receptions because he's plus money right now at 4.5. So I got like minus 120 or something like that for 4+. And then I went with McLaurin's alternate receiving line of 50 plus. Because let's face it, both these teams are going to be shootout, are going to be going back and forth. McLaurin's going to get his 50 yards. I see no avenue where that doesn't hit either. So put 10 units down to win a little over 40.
I love it.
Anything else?
No. Oh, and for all you naysayers, I said this on the podcast last night. That think Washington might be a sneaky underdog. Um, Tampa Bay finished the season with the third most quarterback hits with 114. They also finished sixth on the year in sacks with 46. So they know how to pass rush. Um, their secondary might suck and they might give up a lot of yards, but um, they're going to be coming for Jaden Daniels. So
Okay.
don't think Jaden Daniels is just going to be skirting around having a grand old time out there. He's going to be pressured.
Okay. All right. So as for me, Terry McLaurin is a system bet this week. McLaurin has a 6. So one of my top 5 bets of the week is him over 58.5 receiving yards. I also have another system play this week from this game. And if you're thinking Mike Evans, you're incorrect. No, I'm just kidding. You're correct. So I have actually in this game, I have 3 system hits. Both of our 7s are Mike Evans and Terry McLaurin. So I
Right.
like both of their yardage overs. And our 6 is Zach Ertz. This is our first time with a tight end making the list on the system.
Yeah,
That's
So,
crazy.
crazy.
so
He's
I
had like
have
120 yards the last couple games, I think.
Ertz over 36.5 receiving yards. I have Terry McLaurin over 58.5 receiving yards as 2 of my top 5 bets of the week. I also have Evans, since he's a system play, at 74.5 as a bet that I've made. But there is one play that's not in the system that I really like in this game, and it's Austin Eckler's receiving over.
Ooh, what's
Austin
that line at?
15.5 when I got it. He's back, baby. And in a game that's supposed to have the highest point total of the week, we should see a lot of yards. We should see a lot of action. In 8 of the 12 games that Austin Eckler played, he had 20 or more receiving yards. Last week he caught 2 for 20. Tampa Bay allows the 5th most receiving yards per game at 38.9 to running backs. Um, if this game shoots out, this all of these receiving lines hit. But Eckler at 15.5 is something that I think is palatable. So that's something that I have action on as well.
So I have
I
bad news for you, or
Go
at
ahead.
least for the listeners, because if you got him at 15.5, congratulations. His line's now up to 20.5.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I still don't disagree with 20.5.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably play it up to like 24.5, but
okay.
get get it when you can. The sooner the better. All right. I think this might be the most
Yeah.
fun game of the weekend, which means it'll be awful because that's how this works. It'll be a blowout one way or another. I
Yeah.
am in the minority here. I have Washington winning this game.
See, I don't know that I buy it, but I can see it. I mean, they got home field advantage. It makes a difference. But I think Baker's going to bake.
No, they're
Think
on the
so
road,
too.
man. Tampa Bay's division winner.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
you're
in
right. You're
Tampa.
right. Oh, yeah. No, then I'm 100% Baker going to bake. Like
Okay.
Baker bakes at home.
Okay.
Also, guys, to pump myself up for this game, I watched that Eli Manning undercover thing where Baker Mayfield goes undercover as part of like a Tampa Bay fan tour thing and totally fakes everyone out. It was like Undercover Boss. It was so awesome. It's on
That
Prime
sounds
if you guys want to watch
incredible.
it.
I
Yeah,
need a link to that.
it's on Prime. Just look up Baker Mayfield on Prime. It'll come up.
Okay.
Uh,
I try to look up Baker Mayfield on every streaming service as often
I
as I
mean,
can.
it's a good rule of thumb. Baker
I,
is the most fun quarterback in football.
Yeah,
Not even close.
after I finished some of my gambling stuff last night, I logged in and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch something before I go to bed." And it recommended me this. I was like, "Wait, what's this new Eli Manning and Baker Mayfield show?" And it's called like Undercover or something. And there was one episode, and it was just Baker Mayfield going. They have like a fan day at the stadium, and he dresses up as like this like this southern hick from like Florida. His
Oh
name's
my
like
god.
Gus or something.
You
Yeah.
know what?
You
Any
gotta watch
comedy
it.
football content that
Yeah,
Eli Manning produces, I'm in for.
yeah.
He's so good.
It's only like a half an hour, so it's like a perfect little watch.
Okay.
Yeah. You
You
guys
ever
should
see
watch
the
it.
one where he walks on Penn State? Penn State. He did the Penn State like he tried to be a walk-on quarterback. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll try and I'll put it in the chat later.
Let's
Eli
talk
Manning is the funnier Manning. I
by
anyone who
far.
says
Yeah.
otherwise is
By
because
far.
people will try to tell you it's Peyton and they're wrong.
All right. Let's talk Minnesota Rams. Let's talk our Monday night game.
Yeah.
Minnesota's going to LA. We have Minnesota as road favorites minus 135. The Rams home win, well, technically not a home win because they're in Arizona, plus 126. Spread is -2 in favor of Minnesota. And the over-under is between 47 and 47.5. Waleed, start us off.
I mean, I'm here for Puka. Vikings have been getting torched over the last month of the season by boundary receivers, and last time, I didn't actually look this up, but I want to say the last time these two teams played, Puka Nakua absolutely wrecked them, and I'm going to pull up the exact numbers on that. But Puka
He went
Nakua,
7 he went 7 for 106 in week 8.
okay, so I was right. That's yeah. Give me Puka against this team. I'm really high on Puka. I'm curious. Uh, I think the Rams could be a sneaky money line play. Vikings only lost 3 games this year. 2 of them were to the Lions. Other loss was to the Rams. I think this is a bad matchup for Brian Flores because you can't blitz Matt Stafford. Like he's going to get the ball out real quickly, and I think that you're not going to be able to trick him with disguising coverages, doing all the fancy stuff that he does. So the only thing that has me concerned is all of the players under Rams are worrying about their homes being on fire, and that's got to be a huge distraction when you're going into the playoffs. So I don't know that I don't know that I like picking one game team over the other. I can see both of these teams winning, but I think no matter what, Puka is going to get his.
Okay. Ryan.
Sure. I don't have any specific player props from this game, but you know what? It's Monday night, guys. I know it's the start of the playoffs, but it's also Monday night, and statistically, what tends to happen on Monday Night Football? The unders hit.
Yeah.
This seems kind of high. I would think this game would have opened at around 44 or 45. It's at 47.5, which seems kind of high to me. So I'm going to be betting the under. Um, the red zone offenses for this teams this year finished, let's see, the Vikings were 19th and the Rams were 25th in red zone offense. So they struggle when they get there. I know both of these teams can score, but it seems like most of those crazy plays were from like Puka or Addison or Jefferson from outside the 20-yard line. Um, so I think the under in this game is in play. But other than that, I don't have any player props right now. Of course, I'll do something, but it'll be after I count all my winnings after today and tomorrow.
Ah, man. Um, okay. So I also have Puka over. I had him at 88.5. I think that's what you also got him at. You got him. Yeah, we both got him at 88.5. Um, it's not a top 5 bet, but I love Puka. I think if the Rams know if they want to win, they have to use their best offensive player. And Minnesota's actually fairly stout against the run when they're not playing Jahmyr Gibbs. So I do believe there is a big difference in run style between Jahmyr Gibbs, aka arguably the most explosive back in football, and Kyron Williams, aka the least explosive back in football. I will say, in Kyron's defense, now that Blake Corum broke his forearm, Kyron's going to get 100% of the running back share.
100%.
But
He's actually he's a guy that I love this week in DFS.
he's going to need 25 carries to get 100 yards, but he very well could.
He'll get goal
So,
line looks.
Sure.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Kyron. Ooh, actually, you know what's interesting is that Kyron's line at rush attempts is 20.5.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's something that I might throw some money on because I think he's going to get 25 carries because you're
Well,
going to put
Corum's out, right?
that's what I
Yeah.
just said. Yeah, he broke his
Yeah,
forearm. So he should have like 100% of the running back
yeah.
carries. Maybe
And if you're
Ronnie.
the Rams, your game plan is to keep the Vikings off the field.
yeah, yeah, maybe a Ronnie Rivers handoff here or two, but like Kyron at 20.5 rushing attempts seems to me to be the best bet in this game. Also did want to point out because we live in the sickest timeline possible for the Pacific Palisades. State Farm last year refused to renew coverage for 120,000 residences, and they moved the game to Arizona where they're playing in State Farm Stadium. There we go.
That's fucking disgusting.
We live in hell. All right, so let's go through our bets of the week since we've already run through all the games. Ryan, since you are the champion of top 5 bets of the week, lay them on us.
All right, guys. My top 5 bets of the week. A Josh Allen dominance touchdown. Evans over 5.5 receptions. Fryermuth's over 39.5 receiving yards. Marvin Mims over 41.5 receiving yards. And Jalen McMillan's over 53.5 receiving yards.
All right. Waleed.
I got Puka over 88.5 receiving yards. Bucky over 87.5 rushing yards. Buffalo minus 8.5. I got Bateman over 46.5 receiving yards. And I got the Bills and Lions at plus 750 to meet up in the Super Bowl. I didn't pick a winner. I just picked up the matchup.
Okay. My top 5 bets of the week. Chargers minus 2.5. Zach Ertz over 36.5 receiving yards. Terry McLaurin over 58.5 receiving yards. Rashad Bateman over 46.5 receiving yards. And Nico Collins over 86.5 receiving yards. Parlay King, take it away.
I got my fun $10 no sweat token bet here for the game today. I got Lamar over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I got a Bateman receiving touchdown. Bateman over 60 yards receiving and over 3.5 catches.
Okay.
I also have Bucky over 90.5 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. That little combo worked really well for me. I went 2-0 last week on that. So I'm going to ride that again because I really love this matchup.
Okay. My same game parlay, as I announced on air, is a Josh Allen touchdown, Marvin Mims over 41.5 receiving yards, and the Bills money line that got me plus 280. Put $10 on it would bring me back 38. My money line parlay, I'm going to call every game, every winner in this slate, and they are Chargers, Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings. I got that at plus 457. Put $10 on it. That would bring me back $111.39. Ryan,
Right.
your parlays.
Guys, from Sunday night game, I went Evans over 5.5 receptions, McMillan's alt 4+ receptions, and Terry McLaurin's alt 50+ receiving yards. That gave me 303 odds. I put 10 down to win a little over 40. And then tonight's game, Steelers Baltimore. I went Fryermuth's over 39.5, Mark Andrews 40+ receiving, Isaiah Likely 25+ receiving, and a Mark Andrews touchdown. This is a pretty modest parlay. It gives you 794 odds. I put 5 down to win almost 45.
Okay. So I think this is where we part, Gambletown listeners, friends. Been a
Okay.
great year.
I want to
Yeah.
actually, before we
Vitamin
go, let's
C.
throw this out. Josh, I want you to participate. I want everyone here, call out who you think's going to meet up in the Super Bowl.
You already know. For me, it's Colts, or sorry, it's Chiefs, Eagles.
Chiefs, Eagles, Ryan?
Uh, Before the season started, I had a bet on Houston and Detroit. Um, but now let's see. I'm still going with Detroit, and I'm gonna go to Detroit and Buffalo.
Oh,
Okay.
you're riding with me? All right, because I'm Buffalo
Yeah.
Lions too. Josh, what do you got?
Yep.
Detroit Chiefs.
That's a
Okay.
good one. That's a good one
All
too.
right. That is a good one. All right. Hey guys, thank you very much for joining us in Gambletown. Hopefully we will see you next year.
Yeah.
With our monocles.
Have a kick-ass summer. Have fun in the sun, get laid in the shade.
Hell yeah.
We'll sign your yearbook next year.
Always wear your sunscreen too. You gotta
Exactly.
prevent the, carcinoma.